All right, traders. Hey, welcome on back here this Tuesday, September 16th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Great to still see Michael. Started to see Margaret leave at least, but catch her back tomorrow. Great to see Farzad, Dave, Leda, Roberto, Scott, Brian, Jeff, Bill, Brian, all of our students just joining us back inside our live trading room. Farzad back from vacation from Turkey. Oh, hope you had a great time there, Farzad. Funny enough, we actually have one of our new trial members, I believe, residing in Turkey. Right? How about that? Kind of coincidental, but hope you had fun. Hope you had a great time there, Farzad. But otherwise, I mean, hey, you missed out on maybe a couple of good trades, but you know as good as anyone, Farzad, there's always going to be new opportunities. There's always going to be new trades that come across our desk, and you came right back just in time. So hopefully we catch a couple of good runners taking us into the close. CLSK is on the screen here to begin. I was going over this just for a student earlier. It's at the high of the day. It's up over 6%, right? So wouldn't hurt to come back to this. But what we'll do is start off with the shiny object in the room. We got it. Turbo. This thing ended up making a great push up throughout the morning, as you could see, but it made for a very takeable trade, but it took time for it to build. And then it made the breakout over resistance pretty much here at $8. Pre-market high, kept kind of pressing up against it here. This all, but essentially is just a Fausto flag that built up here. And not only did it made the breakout above resistance, but it flipped that resistance into a support. Right back on up after. As simple as that. Now, what's also as simple as that is, let's take a look at the float. How low of a float do we have here for Turbo? I know the answer. Going to show you though. It's a 1 million share float. I was going over that earlier with another student in coaching, at least privately. So just to mention, big trees fall hard. This thing's up 500%. Whatever the news that came out was, probably didn't justify it to push up 500+%. Well, eventually, stocks with low floats that make these types of moves, they just come right back down. And how do we know that? Take a look at the ORBS trade from last week, right? Take a look at CWD from last week. Look at where it's at now. So it's not a surprise. This is flavor of the day, flavor of the hour, maybe even at that. Just, at this point now, this thing's down in the dumps. We're moving on to greener pastures, literally greener, pushing upwards. So what we'll do is just build our watch list from here, scan across the gainers and losers list. Now, if you're joining us on social media, Facebook Live, X, Twitter, TikTok even, we're out there. Got a gerbil stuck in the webcam today, so you can't see me do my TikTok dance of all days. But keep in mind, though, down below, lower left, at Cyber Trading You, just make sure to hit the follow and subscribe button there. We try and keep you updated as much as we can, but honestly, we prioritize our members, our students and members inside our live trading room. I'm going to go over a new swing position that I'm building right now, familiar name. But we'll look to cover that as well by the end of this meeting too. But, really, we'll just build up our watch list now. The FGI trade to begin, it was trending down leading into the open. So even when it started to build a little steam going up, it was short-lived, came back down, game over. Game on here for this GORV. This thing's popping right now as we're talking, pretty much right at 2 o'clock, 2:15, got halted a couple times going up. We'll take it. I'm going to put this on our watch list easily just for now. GORV. This even has less of a float compared to the Turbo trade. That's insane. What's the news here? What do we got? Let's just figure it out. Lazy Day Holdings trading higher after the company entered a letter of intent for Campers in RV to acquire substantially all of its assets. All right, so it's a buyout. The difference is that it's not at a listed per share transaction, and it says substantially all of its assets. So it sounds like a buyout, but it's not fully one. This is just a nice trade. We're going to count this just as a regular day trade to focus in on for now. Most buyouts you just throw in the garbage. They're trash to begin with because they'll just flatten out. Well, you could tell that this is pretty lively. Not only did it get halted, but even after these halts, it's got some pretty big candles for a cheap stock, but it built out support here, pushing up almost $1 from that point. All right, we got one. We got the GORV trade. BOXL, Boxel. We're familiar with this stock too, just going back days, weeks, months, years, probably back to like 2018. Go back in the way back machine here, but Yeah, even like 2020 mainly, I'd say those big volume candle days there. So, we're pretty familiar with this stock. Made a pretty good move for us back during COVID time, basically like a 5x, 6x move, but about like 99% move down after. So, these are not swing trades. This right here is specifically a day trade. This one, though, has good volume on the order book. So, on a day where it makes a nice pop, it's going to be more tradable as a day trading stock here. So I'll add it. Good trade for now. The box sell. Keep going. Bitcoin did pop earlier today, so I guess we'll talk about that a bit. We'll likely run into BMNR, a couple other trades from earlier. NFE, New Fortress Energy. I feel like this is either a nuclear stock or a quantum stock, one of the two. I'll tell you what it is. It's a gap fill, that's for sure. But for right now, the NFE trade, nice steady trend across the intraday chart. So, I have no problem just adding this as well. Good start to our list here so far, got to say. Three pretty tradable stocks, all moving for their own respective reasons. Buyout, potentially on one. Jimmy is holding here pretty nicely. Bill, I saw him do pretty nicely on this trade earlier. When you're going to run into a stock for the afternoon, just with it being at the highs of the day, like BLNE. All right, looks pretty decent here. Not a bad order book for right now. Actually, little iceberg on the bid. Little iceberg sounds like an oxymoron, but seriously, probably have seen larger size than 11,000 shares here for a cheap stock. But hey, this just had to have popped up recently. So I don't mind. I'll add it here. Blaine, BLNE, Beeline. Now, this one we're adding. All right, so this is my swing trade right now. We're going to put this on the top of the list, not just for me being in it, of all things. No, this is probably the most tradable stock. It's even like more category one or two of all things. However, the news that came out over the last 24 or so hours was that a U.S. politician ended up buying about 50,000 shares or $50,000. I forgot the number there. One of the two. It said 50,000, either shares or dollars. But they bought BBAI. Now, why is this important? It's the first time that any politician has dipped into this stock as an investment, as a trade, as a whatever. Well, that's even more important because this company generates the vast majority of its revenue via government contracts. 1+1 does not equal 27, folks. It equals 2. So, you do the math. That's what got me into the dance here at 5:20. I got in at like 7 o'clock last night. I got back to my desk. I saw the news come up. I was like, ooh, where's the stock right now? And it wasn't even up that much in relation. We've seen these stocks make these 500% moves in a day. Why can't this move up 10, 20% in one day? So that was kind of my kind of quick line of thinking there. But yeah, I'm going to add this trade for right now. Could definitely be a great swing trade going forward, not just from where I got in, but there's a gap for this to fill too, up towards like 7 and change. So I'm looking for much more than that over time on this if this really starts to keep pushing up. But for right now, it's just a great move either way. Day trade, swing trade, the BBAI. CRNC is not doing too bad either. This one's actually making probably one of the better trends across the afternoon. Good order book. So I probably will just add this to our watch list right now. Looking at the daily chart here, some resistance built up back from March into May. It's breaking back over it right now, so that's a good sign. I'll add it, CRNC. Keep going. All right. We're not going to go through every single one of these, honestly. We're just going to kind of skim through at this stage because we already have about 5 or 6 of these looking pretty decent. Neo's not half bad. If anything, Neo might just be a little too slow going into the market close. Just got some huge orders out there on the bid and ask. So that's a great stock to keep an eye on as a swing trade too. Been pushing back up pretty well since July. We've been focused on that here and there. When it's been moving, I will say, just not as hard as the others, but it's definitely a good stock to keep an eye on as a swing trade. Bloom also. Bloom's just been out of control, actually. This has just been a parabolic chart since end of July, beginning of August, but definitely tougher to day trade at this point. Rivian on our list. There we go. That's an automatic. No pun intended. Get it? EV, automatic. All right, no, seriously, though, before I get the tomatoes thrown at me, it's been in consolidation for a long time now, right? So it's not the greatest swing chart just yet, but it could turn into one. So definitely for now, we'll just put it on our list as a day trade, taking us into the close, but see how much else it can offer us. How much more else it can offer us. KTOS, actually, that's been a nice stock too. Plenty of opportunity in this market, folks. That takes us actually back to the stock we started off on. I showed you this here to begin the meeting, CLSK. I could add this at this stage. CLSK is pretty tradable this afternoon. Hop over to the loser side, though, seeing if there's anything looking just as good, if not better there. Bingo, dead. MSPR, dead. MTVA, we knew this was going to die off because of how much it ran up yesterday, so not a surprise. ASST, I think this is suffering the same fate as the NACA stock here just from the last day or so. A lot of these Bitcoin treasury companies going to kind of going to shit. NACA, ASST, the one that's been doing great, and it's actually would have found it on the gainer side. I don't know why we didn't see it there. We were just talking about it in our room. Oh, it's not up more than 5%. That's why. BMNR, this is not a Bitcoin treasury company. This is an Ethereum treasury company. So definitely a bit stronger this afternoon. Different graph compared to these other ones, like we'd said. ASST, NACA. Rocket Lab's down a lot today. Wow. All right, so it took a huge hit yesterday as well. What happened here? Let's check the news if I can. $750 million worth of common stock offering. That's a kick in the, for any investors here. This was doing pretty good and still is doing great long term, but just when this was just breaking all-time highs 2 days ago, this could easily turn into the next Palantir, the next Robinhood, go up to 100 within a blink of an eye. Yeah, until that happens. That sucks. So got to feel a little bit there for some of the investors, but it's still a really healthy graph long term. Shit, I might put this on our watch list as both a short taking us into the close and just to keep an eye on it just long term. UBC's down today. CCJ, uranium kind of coming back down right now. Don't need to put those on our list. HIMS took a bit of a dive early on today. I guess that's bouncing a little bit now. Open dropped off today. Nothing really to write home about on that. All right. So what was that one there that I just said? Rocket Lab? Yeah, we'll add Rocket Lab. Just kind of on the back end of our list there. Potential short going into the close. All right. Gerbil stuck in the webcam this afternoon, but a couple shout outs on YouTube at least. Later, as always, appreciate you each and every day. You know that. Love you. And then Conk, great to have you here, Conk, on YouTube. Been seeing you more and more lately here, joining us each and every afternoon. So nice thumbnail, by the way. All right, folks, let me know. Last call, just up, down, left, right, more than 5%. Anything that you'd want me to look at here before we finish up, but my scanner was messed up earlier today. So I don't know how real these numbers are right here in this column I use. The GORV we had on our list just before, still popping. There we go. Maybe my scanner's fixed now. Box L is coming back down. Maybe not. PRME. None of these are looking that great. Folks, you know what? I think that we got just a decent enough list here taking us into the afternoon. Gore of a lot of us saying Wendy, Albert, all of a sudden. All right, folks. Then Michael saying Gemini down big today. Yeah, can't short it though. That's the thing. It's easy to borrow. It's easy to borrow on TradeStation. Double check that. If you're able to short this of all things, then put this on your watch list. But you're not going to try and catch a falling knife, though. That's not a good idea, though, especially for an IPO. Oh, in between. I'm sorry, Dominic. Catching in between there. IO and Q. Yeah, IO and Q is just still pushing, huh? So with that, are the others going out too? QUBT, QBTS looking pretty healthy, actually, of all ones. And then Rigetti. Frog in the throat there. Yeah, it looks like Quantum's doing pretty good together. How many do we have on this freaking watch list at this point? All right, you know what? We'll call them out to you at least in our trading room for Dominic, Wendy, Michael, etc. But there we go. I slapped just Quantum on the back end of our watch list right there. But stick with BBAI, stick with the GORV for right now. That NFE trade actually is pretty compelling. I like that one a lot. New Fortress Energy, cheap stock. I mean, just pushing up pretty nicely here. I think that there's more to this on the gap fill side of things as well. So listen, there's a lot of opportunity to work with. You know what I'm about to say. Start and stick with what we got right here on our watch list, folks. This will give you the best opportunity to work with trades going into the afternoon. Also, we're going to be back on the mic going into 3 o'clock, 3:05. So, wouldn't help you if we're talking about this watch list and if you're listening and you're trading stock XYZ instead. So, we want to be a service to you. So it makes sense. Hey, all of us together, Wendy, Michael, Millard, you got Kevin, got Robert here. I see Roberto as well. I got a few Alberts joining our room now recently here. Alberts have taken over. All of us together, just working as a team here on this watch list going into the afternoon. But folks, hey, keep in mind if you're on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. A couple of things before we wrap up. Of course, just make sure to hit the follow and subscribe button right down below, lower left, right there, popping up is our username at CyberTradingU, prominently on YouTube and Twitter/X. We're also on Facebook, TikTok, etc. But CyberTradingU is our users on YouTube as well as on X. But otherwise, though, I know that Fausto is doing an open house coming up this week. I keep thinking that today is Wednesday. Today is Tuesday, Josh. But coming up this week, Thursday, we got a free live workshop coming up. So if you're on social media, if you're not inside our live trading room yet, scan that QR code and take you to registration to a page for our next live event coming up on Thursday. Look forward to having you there. But we'll be back on the mic for all of our students and members here inside our trading room going into 3 o'clock shortly.